Okay.
Oh, we're live.
We're live. Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our regular Tuesday Tat Chat. This week on my channel, I think we're now number, what did I put? 91.
Yep,
That's
91.
crazy. We'll have to do something for the 100th show, you know.
Actually, before we skirt over it, can we just say that it was your fault that we're late today? just because I know people are going to blame me for it.
Only what are we? Oh, 3 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty poor show. I just completely forgot. I was so immersed in clearing shelves. Check that out.
Oh my god, completely empty. We should say hi to everyone as well.
We should. Hang on, let me just get my bearings.
Yeah, I haven't got it up for anything.
Pardon? Say that again.
I said I haven't got the window up.
First in this evening was Lucy. Hi there. Oh, hang on, eBay's going off. Oh, it's a message. Damn. Oh. Then Peter, Chelsea, Jason, Indie Chick says, "Hi everyone, I'm just back after 5 weeks of travel." Wow,
that sounds epic.
5 weeks.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, I hope you have fun. Lots of people popping in. There's BCP.
BCP, I love that. The acronym is almost like as good as the name.
Yeah, you have to be in the know to know what the codes mean.
BCP.
Panzer, Malinky, Richard Hale, all popping in to say hi. We do have a bit of a topic, as you would have seen from the title, which we'll go into in a minute. Basically, there was a really interesting thread opened up on the Tat Chat group. Link for that's below if you're not already on there. A chap called Carl made a post, and there was some really interesting discussion going on. So we thought we'd just tap into that, read out a few of the comments, and see what people think, and see what our opinions are on it all. But you were just saying something before we went live. What have you managed to vlog today?
I just nothing impressive in and of itself, but I'm actually kind of really happy. I've been listing RC parts, as you guys may know, a lot of RC parts. I've got 25 of these. I only just listed this. I think the listing went live today, and I sold one for a tenner, and it's going to Poland, and they paid another $7.99 for shipping. It is a drive shaft for an RC car, so it's the bit that goes from the center transmission to the front, like the front diff, as it were, and then it's just a part for an RC car, and it's just tenner. I'm like, I've got 25 of those.
It's just so cool though.
It's so cool.
So easy to pack, and you just know they're going to continue to break all over the world.
Yep, that's the plan. That's it. Yeah. So I'm really I was really happy that sold actually just now. I was like,
fantastic. How have you been getting on today? Listing much?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I wrote in the thread actually that I want to try to keep up to date with the thread, because I've been listing regularly, but like last week I pretty much forgot to go in and put down what I'd written, what I'd listed, and I kind of can't tell you how much I listed last week. I just know it was a lot. I know that on certain days I did a lot, and I did only manage 10 listings yesterday, but I'm on 11 so far today, so I'm hoping that I'll still be able to pull like a late evening. I don't really like working all night long kind of thing, but Beck and I are probably just going to work till around 10, 11, hopefully. And then we'll probably sit down and watch CSI. That's our new thing now. We sit and watch CSI.
That's still going?
No, not CSI. She'll slap me. NCIS.
Yeah,
NCIS, not CSI. Yeah. Yeah, NCI.
Back to the 90s somehow.
There's so many of them, but yeah, just love watching with NCIS at the moment. And I used to actually laugh at Hixie for watching it, because he was like, yeah, I watched NCIS. I was like, oh, that rubbish. And now I'm hooked on it as well.
I was just thinking, those listings that you said, like 10 yesterday, I assume that's multiples apart. So that's many items, more than 10.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. I just put them on. I have it set on that thing where you don't show how many you've got.
Oh yeah.
So you have an option. I've actually got two options with good till cancelled. I don't like to show that I've got more than my exact number of stock, just because I don't know. Just I don't know whether it's I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but it just says more than 10. So even if I've got like 30, it will just say more than 10. And the other thing I've done is it's worth going into your like site preferences with your good till cancelled, and there's an option where they allow you to go out of stock. Now it's not set by default, you have to set it, but it allows you to go out of stock. Now the good thing about that is say if I've miscounted and I find that I've actually got a few more, or I come across a few more of an item, even if I sold out all of the amount that I've got, my good till cancelled listing will become invisible to the buying public, but the good till cancelled listing will still actually be active with all my sales data and information. And then I think you have a certain time limit in which to bring stock back in.
Oh, I've not heard about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it allows you to go out of stock.
I wish that was around when I used to. I've stopped bothering now, but I used to sell ball bearings as replacement parts for certain board games like Mousetrap and Screwball Scramble. And I had a listing of Screwball Scramble ball bearings that was on like about 1,500 of these balls. And I forgot to update. I ordered more when it got low, forgot to update the listing, and it finished.
Oh no!
I lost my rank. I was number one in it for years.
Yeah. Oh, that must have been annoying.
That would have been handy at that time.
Yeah, because it would have allowed you to have gone out of stock, and then you'd see that it's showing 0 available, and then you can actually go in and add to it.
Definitely. Right, let me dip in the chat.
I've just popped into the chat.
There's so much of it.
Yeah. Electronic firing.
Wow, Nick, I can see your shelves. I know. I was quite shocked when I walked in here this morning, actually. And I've got another massive box just about to go out. I dropped 2 off today. Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
I've not done any of my Amazon still. I need to do that. I just have to mention this comment before I forget it or lose it. Electronic Firing Squad says, so my theory is Z has already cut his hair off and he's just wearing one of those hats with fake hair glued. It's all there.
I was going to say that'll make Friday's show a bit of a letdown if you just whip your hat off and you're bald.
It's all there. It's all legit. Oh no, I've messed my hat up.
Only 3 days now.
There we go. No, I just like wearing the hat because it's keeping the hair out of my face while I'm working. So I'm finding that whenever you're like bending over to pick stuff out of boxes or when you're taking photos and things, your hair just gets in your face. It's annoying.
I don't have that issue.
I won't for long. I won't soon. Yeah, so
just reading down, loads of people popping in. Thanks for joining us. We're already at 111 viewers, which is epic. We will get onto our topic. I'm just whizzing through, seeing if there's any questions. Question: have any of you had a cross-border charge from PayPal by a buyer who is abroad buy the item to be delivered in the UK? I don't really know what that's all about. Never heard of that.
No.
So no.
And Southwest Sellers, it's £10 for a piece of metal or steel. It's not plastic.
Oh, that's Gary stealing my epoxy line.
Yeah. Oh, he loves using the old epoxy. Kirsten's in the chat as well. I've seen Daisy May. God, loads of people popping in.
Firing Squad says, I've been buying your RC parts, Z. Much like the great Johnny Cash, I'm going one piece at a time and hoping to have all the parts I need for a full car by year's end.
Well, that's good stuff. I mean, hopefully there's more people out there that do that. Karen says, me and hubby are rewatching Walking Dead before the new season starts. Oh, yeah.
I've never watched a single episode.
It's so good, Nick. You got to watch it. It's so good. I'm not going to be like, yeah, because everyone says it. It is really fun.
I've never watched a Game of Thrones.
I've never watched that either.
But I've watched every Time Team in existence.
Oh, I've never seen any Time Team. Why are we friends again?
Yeah. What
we have like nothing in common. Just
A house full of tat. That's what we have in
Yeah,
common.
that's about
There
it.
you go. Okay, let me just scroll down. Hi, Kirsten. Hi, Peter. Hillsman's in there.
Peter Cummins has a question. Have you seen that?
Oh no, it just whizzed past. I can see
Okay.
it now. Go on, you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. When the boot fairs have ended and you don't have a massive pile of tat to draw on, where else can you source from apart from charity shops, Facebook, eBay, and auctions during the winter months?
Well, that leads us on to the thread that was on the Tat Chat group quite nicely. We'll touch on that in a minute, but if I just give a shout out to Carl, who put the original post in, Carl Bailey.
Yeah.
If I just read a bit of his original post, which started the thread. He said that he was puzzled by some of the numbers in here of people pushing hundreds of items a month. Where on earth is the stock coming from? So far, visits I've taken to charity shops show items regularly more expensive than eBay or Amazon. Am I missing something here? And he goes on a bit, but essentially, where does all this stock come from that we talk about? He was saying. And going on to Peter's question, in the winter, it does get harder to source. There's no doubt whatsoever about that if you rely on boot sales. Most of our stock does come from boot sales. So what would your answer be to that, Zahir? Where would you source if you had to be during the winter?
I think it's not just about winter though, is it? I think it's just generally like everyone talks about when you're reselling and working for yourself, one of the things you've got to be able to do is adapt, and things are changing all the time. And we found when we moved up here, we weren't having the same level of success at boot sales, and it didn't click straight away because I suppose I'm a bit slow. But you know, I found that I wasn't getting, in my opinion, the same amount of quality stock that I used to be able to get at boot fair. So it comes down to adapting and changing depending on where you are. So there's so many variables involved as well. So if your boot sales aren't there, and you know, you have to start then looking at other places. So like you said, you've got your charity shops, you've got your auction houses, and if you're not having any success at those either, then you need to then maybe look at putting out feelers on how else you can get stock. So whether that's putting an ad out in Gumtree or looking on Gumtree or Spock or what you know, loot online if they still do that. You know, just thinking of different ways of doing it. And we found that especially this year where we've done really well, it's been on the big job lots. So finding those kinds of opportunities to go on. So obviously that does mean that you've got to take out, you know, you might have to spend some cash or take out a working capital maybe, because obviously when you're doing big job lots you have to spend more. But we found that's what's been our like saving grace this year, and it's where I think we've started to see some real benefits.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I think the answer, where do you get your stock and how do you cope with having a regular influx of stock, will be different. It would be a different answer from every reseller you ask, because everybody kind of tailors how they find stock to where they are, what they sell, how much they need to turn over, which is a big issue. And so the answer is going to be different. And in the thread, it really reflected that. I was just reading down actually while you were talking there. Kat Hoban said, car boots for me. We do at least 2 on Sundays throughout the summer. Can easily fill the car up. She goes on to say that jumble sales are brilliant too. She doesn't tend to get much from charity shops. Luke agrees that he rarely, if ever, finds anything at charity shops. But then I know people, I think Carla's a good example of somebody who regularly buys stock from charity shops. Mrs. M, Caroline, she does do boot sales as well, but has some little honey holes, as my wife calls them, where she can go and find stock. So I think it totally depends on where you are, and you have to just put yourself out there and find out what works for you, find out what works in your area. As you just said, it was subtly different when you moved up north.
Yeah.
And you've had to learn, you've had to adapt, you've had to just put yourself out there and just start hustling, really, start looking, start working it out.
And it was subtle. It really was a subtle difference. And like you said, there are actually examples of resellers out there that exclusively go to charity shops. So if your charity shop's really good, I mean, like, for example, when I was down south, I had a honey hole, like you say, as well, and I could guarantee every week if I went there, I'd get a few nice, high ticket items, for not much money. So it is very specific to your area. This is where, when people say, watch YouTube or join a group, or do your research online, and those things are really great to give you an idea on how to do things, but you must appreciate that every area is unique, and how someone from London does things might be different. Not even that's even too broad. How someone from Croydon does things might be different from how someone in Greenwich, or how someone in Wandsworth, or how someone in Putney, or Hackney or Enfield does things. Even within a city, it's a huge difference. Like, for example, I know that how I have to do things out here where I am in Lancashire is going to be very different from someone that lives slap bang in Manchester city centre, or even just down the road in Preston.
Even to the point where living in the same road or in the same village, like you and Steve, Steve will have very different ways of sourcing.
Yeah.
Which suits you, which suits your style of reselling, which suits your way of doing it. And there's other ways we haven't even mentioned yet, like sourcing exclusively online.
Yeah.
It's
exactly. There's resellers
live auctions, like Kirsten in the chat. Go on.
No, it's right. It's just any example that we give, I'm sure there's a reseller out there that exclusively will use that method, as opposed to any. So, for example, like you mentioned, selling online, there are resellers that will. Sorry, sourcing online. There are resellers that will exclusively source online. There are resellers that will exclusively source at car boots, or at just charity shops, and then there's resellers that will exclusively source at auctions. But the key, I suppose, is to find out where you live what's the best option, because just because a reseller sources for example, exclusively online, doesn't mean that they do it because it's the best option. It's because it's the best option open to them.
Or it's just what they got into and it worked and they specialized. You know what I mean? I've kind of changed and adapted over the years, partly because what I sell evolves, but partly also because you like to evolve and change things up. It doesn't mean what I used to do doesn't work anymore. I just move on and change things up.
And I think that go on.
I was just going to read a little bit in the chat because I want to try and keep up with it a bit tonight.
Sure.
Apparently Walking Dead is on Virgin. I can watch it from the start. I don't know if I want to. How many series behind am I?
It's on season 8's going to start, but trust me, it's one of those shows that will hook you. It is fantastic. But what was I going to say? Oh gosh.
I don't know. I was also reading in the post that we were inspired to talk about this from. Where were we? Vic said in there, I'm 10 years into selling vintage toys, and I really enjoy fashion. I sell specifically in those departments and really enjoy researching those categories. My issue is I find too much stock and I can't list it fast enough. You see, I've heard that from many people I talk to. It was an interesting thread because it started off from Carl basically saying, I can't believe how many people are in this group turn over the sort of numbers of items and are finding the numbers of items they say. Yet I hear on a regular basis, and I've said it myself, that I find it too easy to find stock.
I think when your knowledge reaches a certain level, that does become true. It becomes less of an issue, because you become more confident. I think what I was remembered what I was going to talk about was, you mentioned just the other day, actually, it was quite funny that how you almost attract things that you're into at the moment. So, for example, like a few months ago, I still have stacks of electronics, because that's what I was after. I was finding it, I was buying it. I was buying speakers from eBay, I was buying electronics locally, I was buying them, all kinds of ways. And now at the moment, as it is, I just really can't be I just can't face listing them. So I've still got stacks of it, but it's now I'm not finding anymore. And the same goes with like my commercial coffee machine stuff. You know, I was I was finding coffee grinders because I was searching for them, and I was finding coffee machines because I was searching for them. I was actually looking for these things, and now I'm like into this RC stuff, and I've got more RC than I could shake a stick at. I mean, like I've got
I
in
tell
my
you what,
living room, I've now got 4 electric helicopters. I've got like 4 monster trucks. I've got, I've got so much RC. It's just insane, and you attract it to yourself as well. I've
I think
almost
also
feel.
it's when you become aware of a new sort of niche or a new product, you start seeing it. And I
Yeah,
found that when we got our new Mini,
yeah,
we were just seeing minis everywhere because we were in tune with minis and we were, noticing them. And now I swear I see minis everywhere. And it's because I'm just tuned into that make and model of car, and that's what's on my mind. So it's in the same way, if you suddenly get into picking up, I don't know, vintage My Little Ponies, you'll be tuned into that and you will suddenly find more because you're spotting them.
yeah.
So I think it's a part of that. It's partly all in the mind, isn't it?
Oh, I totally. It really does come down to it. I mean, you will, because you're excited about it, you're looking for it, it works, and it's one of those things where when sometimes you'll sell something out of the blue, and then you think to yourself, why haven't I been getting into this? Or why did I stop focusing on this? Like, for example, recently you sold some electronics again, and you hadn't sold electronics you hadn't sat down and done a bunch of electronics for a few months,
Or
but
I'll
then
tell you what, hang on. My customers just arrived, I think. I
okay,
sold
yeah,
a stack of kids' books. They haven't got out of the car yet. And she arranged to come pick them up. Oh, she's just walking to the door. Right.
okay, right,
Talk amongst yourselves.
no worries. Well, I'll go into the chat then. There's 139 people watching. We've currently only got 18 thumbs up. So would obviously appreciate if you could smash the like button if you're enjoying what you're seeing. I'll go through a few of the comments and just scroll back up. Karen says to Nick, yeah, he needs to watch Walking Dead, definitely. Stu Mandry says if you've got a small van or estate car, you could always offer a partial house clearance service to get stock. That's a good idea. And again, what that speaks to is how you'd go about doing that. You'd have to be willing to put your name out. This is something that we've mentioned before, but I suppose we haven't talked about it in masses of detail. But it's about being proactive, isn't it? It's if you go to a charity shop or if you go to a car boot or an auction, you're being proactive to an extent that you're getting out of your house and you're making your way down there to look for stock, but it's not, you're not doing all the work. You're doing a certain amount of the work. So, you didn't set up the auction house, you didn't organize the car boot sale, you didn't set up the charity shop. You're just being proactive to the level of going to those places to get stock. That's all you're doing. Whereas if you're like really proactive, it's like you create the opportunity yourself. So that would be, I suppose, the extent of going around and introducing yourself to the local places that may have stock that you're interested in. For example, we all go to the boot fair in the morning and we all hear that guy that knocks on the car window and says, do you have any jewelry? Right now, if that's all he does, he might do okay from that. But imagine if he also, during the week, knocks on people's doors with a leaflet and says, if you've got any jewelry, I'm always open to buy it. Here's my leaflet. Thank you. Or, and that's like a next level of it. And there are people that do that. There are people that will knock on your door with a leaflet saying, we buy this. If you have any, we'll buy it off you now. Or if you ever come across any, let me know. So that's, different levels of being proactive.
Well, we've talked about being proactive before, and when we had Chad the Golden Finger Picker on, he was so enthusiastic about putting your cards out there and leaving your cards in shop windows and all of this stuff. And we both said, oh, we need to do that. That sounds really cool. But I think it's like needs must. And if anything, well, I'm still in the process of having an epic clear out because I have too much stuff. If I was in desperate need of stuff, I would take those steps. You know what I mean? And I think going back to the original thread, if you are, for whatever reason, struggling to find stock that's going to make you money, then you need to be proactive. You can't just sit back and go, I can't find anything at charity shops. My charity shops are too expensive. My boot sales are rubbish. I give up. You know, do it yourself. Create your own yard sale trail in a local town, and then do another one in the next town, and then do one in a village. If you know, make stock appear. I mean, we're still planning on doing one. We didn't manage to get organized enough. I think we'll do it next spring now, but
there are levels, aren't there, Nick? Like there's levels of doing things. So, you know, I suppose you have to look at it in terms of the low hanging fruit thing, right? You know, going to the charity shops for stock is probably the easiest thing you can do. There's charity shops pretty much on every high street. You don't have to be able to drive, really. You can just get public transport to most high streets. And because of that, there's going to be the lowest chance, I suppose, of finding an abundance of good quality stock. And then I suppose the next level, you know, slightly more difficult is to drive out to a farm in the freezing cold at 5 a.m. in the morning. But the results you get from doing that are better, because you're automatically getting rid of a bunch of people that can't make it to a farm at 5 o'clock in the freezing cold on a Sunday morning for whatever reason, whether that's because they're too tired to wake up, they can't make it for whatever reason, transport. And again, then you've got auctions, which might be more difficult if they do job lots. So you might need more cash up front. There's lots of different things. Yeah. I mean, just funnily enough, you know, that there's like a joke about a house that we robbed, which we didn't rob. We did like a house clearance, right? Almost like we only bought their clothes and jewelry, but we cleared that out. And now bear in mind, guys, we've only been up here for a year, and we actually got a phone call. You know, the guy that we did the house clearance with has got in touch with us again to go and meet him when he's next up here to clear out the rest of the stuff that he might have, so we can have a look and clear out. Now, we've only been here a year. We don't know anybody really. The only person we knew when we moved up here was actually Ixie, and that's it. You know, we don't have any contacts, but the point is you can build contacts. And the reason why he called us is because he knows what we do now. He knows, you know, we were open about it.
And you weren't really proactive in building that content. I know you went there and
we just drove past. I just drove past.
But imagine if you'd been putting, you know, we clear houses, or we will buy the, not clear houses maybe, but you know, those sort of adverts. You only need 1 or 2 leads to go and meet somebody, and then it's word of mouth. And you know what I mean? You guys really don't need more stock right now, but you can just see that being proactive.
We're still going to go and see what he's got.
Oh, totally. You've got to go and do it. But what I'm saying is, I mean, I know you haven't proactively put that out there because you don't need stock, but you can see how with a few little steps you can generate leads.
Yeah.
And it's just getting yourself talking to the right people. Somebody actually said, I was just reading in the Tat Chat again, Gary Booton was saying, every day in this line of work is a learning curve. When we do charity shops, we hit about 4 towns. But he was saying sometimes you just have to take a risk on a job lot, and move the conversation forwards to job lots. It's interesting watching a lot of the channels. Caroline had that huge BHS haul, which really made her store go to the next level. You guys have just hit a similar sort of mother load of stuff. We've had a couple of epic hauls with the gaming one and that van load of stock last year. And those just, you have to put yourself out there to get those. Those don't really drop into your lap. So that, again, it's like you have to force the issue. You have to be proactive. You have to be an entrepreneur, essentially, to get your hands on those. Would you agree with that?
Completely. It is taking it, like you said, again, it's doing what the majority of people won't do. That's going to get you the stock that the majority of people won't get. I mean, and once you've gotten the opportunity, though, Nick, we also touched on this the other day. It's then having the guts to go through with it, because that, you know, it's all very well, because that's the thing. These are all little tiny barriers, which I suppose are the difference between, you know, someone finding, you know, or struggling to find stock and someone that has an abundance of it. It's like once you've been proactive and you've put yourself out there, it's then sometimes about taking a chance and taking a risk. You know, it's and you will second guess yourself. You know,
well, it's not an easy thing to do, to suddenly throw down £4,000 or £5,000 on, even when you've done your research. And on that huge job lot I had last October sort of time, or well, about a year ago,
Yeah,
I did as much research as I could on the information I had, and it was still a gamble at that
you
point.
still second guess yourself.
Yeah, it was still a lot of money. I didn't know how fast a lot of these lines were going to sell. I wasn't really sure on the profits I could expect back, and I had to just go for it. At some point in a job lot that big, you have to just go, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And it's quite nerve-wracking. And like you say, that puts you in a very small number of people that are prepared to take that chance with that amount of money. So it's in a weird way, when you get there, you've got less competition. The bigger the job lot, the bigger the investment, the bigger the challenge, it narrows it down to very few people that are going to be competing with you. So you can get some amazing deals at that level.
And funnily enough, it's risk reward in the end, isn't it? It's
totally.
you know, and you can apply that to anything. I mean, you know, whether that be, I don't know, even investing. I suppose if you're someone that invests, but you only invest in the biggest, safest companies, I'm guessing you probably won't make as much money on the stock market as a risk taker that's willing to take a risk on a company that might do well, but then again might lose you all your money. So
that's it. Like back in the day, who would have put all of their eggs in like the Apple or the Amazon basket?
Yeah, whoever did.
Some people did, and now they're millionaires.
Exactly. And you know, it's you buy these things, and you're right. All these, it's a mindset thing. When you're out and about and you're sourcing from car booths, auctions, charity shops, you can be picky to the extent of you're buying individual items. Even at an auction, you can be researching an individual item. A lot of auctions nowadays sell, especially if the item's valuable, they will sell it on its own individually. They're not going to sell it all like in a big job lot nowadays. They do tend to split things down to get maximum money on each lot. And I think that gives you comfort because it's very, very black and white. You can be like, right, item X is worth this much on eBay or Amazon, you know, and that tells me I'm prepared to spend this much to get it. And your only risk really is thinking, how much, you know, in terms of what margin am I prepared to take? And if the deal was to go sour, am I prepared to take a loss? For example, say if the deal, you know, would I be prepared to spend 50 quid on this item to sell it for 100 if there's a chance I could get eBay scammed, for example? That's probably the only risk you've got to take. But when you're buying like multiple quantities in such huge amounts, it changes how you think. And the risk is very different. It's like, am I going to be living like this for the next 5 years, you know, or will I be able to sell it within a year? Or how much am I going to make? Has it been worthwhile? Just keeping track of it. Everything's different.
Yeah, job lots does become, it brings up more issues, like you say, about how fast is this stuff going to move?
Yeah. How far do you go into it? Like, how much are you going to rinse out of it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I was just reading again in the original post that we're, if you just joined us, we've got 146 in now. We're just chatting about how we source stuff, how we source stock, sorry, and how we can get enough to sustain our business. And it was based on a thread in the Tat Chat Facebook group. I was just reading a couple more posts. Mo Ching Yap said, it definitely pays to explore different sources, talk to people and find the ones that work for you. By all means, use YouTube videos for inspiration, but you'll find if you dig around your area, stock is everywhere. So,
exactly. When we've even again, we've only been here for a year, and we've already, most of my neighbors know what I do, and we actually bought stock from one of our neighbors. You know, we literally went in and they took, you know, they did us a deal.
And if you multiply that out by letting more and more and more people know that you're there with cash, you want stuff, it's only ever going to bring you stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to expect it to come flooding in, but once word of mouth gets out there, and I've never proactively put the word out there about what I do. I've never really had the need to. As you know, I don't find it hard to gather stuff. It just comes to me. But yeah, if I really needed to, I'm sure I could get contacts.
Definitely. I think, and you know, your need is going to be dependent on your area. Perhaps, Nick, if you didn't live where you live, if you lived somewhere more rural, you may have had to do it already. You don't need to do it because, like you said, you've got plenty of inventory available. And that's the other thing. Like what you said is true, that when you put yourself out there, you're always going to get offers and you're going to pick up stock, but you do have to be prepared that there are going to be offers given to you that aren't going to be great. So for example, a lot of people talk about putting ads out for things that they're interested in, right? So they'll put ads on Facebook, etc. And one of the worries that tends to come up pretty quickly is, oh, I did this and I just got people asking me for eBay prices for things. That shouldn't put you off, because for every 9 people that do that, even if out of, you know, for every 10 people, sorry, that asks eBay prices, if just one of those asks, you know, a decent price for a deal, then surely it's worth it. It's worth batting away the other 9 and saying thanks but no thanks.
From a tiny bit of experience asking direct for Lego, that is exactly what happens. You get a lot of people who of course ring you up and they want the most they can get out of it, and they're just asking above the odds to leave you any profit. But yeah, I guess you just have to have a thick skin and say thank you very much, but this is all I can offer.
I'm trying to make money on. I think at that point you've got to also accept being transparent while you're buying it. You don't put ads out saying I'm after vintage or retro Nintendo games consoles because I'm a collector, because you will then get dealers trying to sell to you at at top price. Don't say, just be honest, be like, I'm looking to sell, I'm a dealer, I am a games dealer, what do you have? And then automatically people that approach you are going to know that you're a games dealer, so you're not going to pay top money. And if they do expect top money, you're already in that comfortable position because your advert has been honest. You can say, as you can tell from my advert, I am a dealer, so I can't pay you that price because I need to make money on this. And it's just it's.
I think as well. Trying to remember what Chad was saying about what's worked for him. He was saying, don't write a specific list. He said keep it as general as you can. Say I am a reseller. I'm interested in buying stuff. Maybe give a couple of very loose examples, and then people will come to you with what they've got. And you can always say no. No is a very powerful word. You can say no, 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 no. Oh, hang on, you've got some of them though. I'll have a look at that. And you can pick and choose, can't you? I mean, it's a totally different market. If somebody's coming to you, you can just pick and choose what you want. Yeah, but definitely. I don't have a lot of experience doing that. I was just reading down in the Tat Chat group thread again. Lee Mather said it's not easy, can be quite daunting for the beginner, but really you just need to keep at it and you'll be rewarded, like most things in life. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily come easily, but you know.
Yeah.
And in some ways, watching YouTube videos can be a hindrance. If you watch us, for example, swimming in stock, we might make it look easy when definitely when you start out, it's like, where do you begin? How do you find all this stuff? Which is exactly what this chap whose name I've just forgotten was feeling, I think.
Just seen a question in the chat. Johnny Mango asks, why ain't you a big fan of FBA like Nick and Tom? Just not. I do like it, don't get me wrong. You can make really good money on it. I don't enjoy the process. Money, that's all it is. I suppose I do. No, I suppose I do like making money, but only to a certain extent, I suppose. Because you're right. If I just loved making money, full stop, I would do FBA more than I do it. I struggle with the process. I just can't stand the process. I absolutely abhor it. And I've got literally I've got a box of stuff there that I know as soon as I send in, it will just fly. I mean, I've got 3 DSs and God knows what else in this box that, the good value items.
Oh, cool. They're perfect for...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they'll fly. Everything in that box I know will fly out. I have to force myself to do it. And I'd rather list these things on eBay. I just hate it.
That's the part that makes me laugh, because listing those is tedious as hell. Those
Yeah,
RC parts.
yeah,
So
completely understand. I just don't
you're
know.
law unto yourself, D.
I'm just messed up. Electronic Firing Squad says reselling's okay. I only watch Z for his lengthy, romanticized lists of coffee machine specs. That's at least I'm useful for something, I suppose. Pete's Retro Collectible says get flyers printed and delivered locally, asking for stock. I just got one in the post box today. Also, post asking on Facebook groups saying you'll buy so and so. Exactly, it can be as simple as that.
If you are in a position where you're struggling to find stock, you need to think about method. Come up with your own ideas. You know what I mean? Don't do what we're talking about. Come up with something original, something different. But yeah, perfect idea. Putting up little notes, but do be prepared for your phone to ring with Wally's trying to sell you absolute crap for too much. If you can cope with that, I'd imagine it'd work out really well. I just saw Graham Nichols there. Question, Nick, have you braved the loft yet? I did have a bit of a rummage in there not long ago, and we are bringing it all down once I've cleared more of this. So yeah, soon.
Exactly.
But I don't think I'm going to film up there. Don't expect that. It's not going to happen.
Southwest Seller says gas tank house clearance, thousands of old RC parts available. Homeowner will be on the sofa asleep, so need to be quiet.
Free to good home. Just let yourself in and take it away. Excellent. Again, just reading in the original thread, our good friend Tom was in there, and he said, "You just got to keep looking anywhere you go, and you'll get there."
Yeah.
Just
and I think like part of it is always to look, isn't it? Always to. I mean, like Malinky has just put in the chat. Spent £6 in the charity shop this morning. Got at least £100 of stock. The deals are out there, and it sounds cliched and almost like cold to say that, but it's true. It's out there. That you have to believe it's out there, because once you accept that the stock is out there, you know, things become easier. I mean, a lot of this is mental, isn't it? I think a lot of it is mind. It's like a mind game with yourself. Once you can tell yourself and 100% believe and be convinced the stuff is out there, it relaxes you.
I think mentally that's where we got to in the last few months, to be able to just stop sourcing. And remember, we stopped sourcing at the height of the boot sale season this year.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, honestly, nothing I love better than going to a boot sale.
Yeah.
But I had to convince myself that we didn't need the stock and it's going to be there next year.
Yeah.
You know, and we just needed to sort out the backlog, get some space, get some order in our business. But yeah,
not suffer from FOMO, as people say.
Yeah, well, I do get the FOMO thing because the internet is now here showing me all these hauls and all these sales, and it's like, it's just proving to me again, actually, that the stuff's out there, and I don't have to fear. It's going to be out there next year. It's not like boot sales are just going to stop. I do get that weird little niggling thing at the beginning of every boot sale season, though, thinking, am I going to find stuff? You know what I mean? When you've not been for quite a while, it's like you forget how easy it is to pick it up. But yeah. Let me read down and see what other comments people were saying.
Or Liquid Gaming. I made 60k buying Bitcoin years ago. Oh, no. Trading can be good money, but 9 times out of 10 people don't make much more than a few grand extra a year. Actually, I think the figures are that I think 95% of people that trade lose money, don't they? I think something along those lines. It's only 5% that. But Bitcoin, imagine if you bought Bitcoin. Oh gosh, I've heard ads mention cryptocurrency a couple of times, and again, it's there now, and everyone knows it's there. A lot of people know it's there, but how many people are going to put their money down? Like, a lot of people are now going to stop buying it because it's gone up compared to how much it was. But even at the prices today, it's only going to go up because of the nature of it, because you can only ever get a certain amount of Bitcoins.
Yeah,
it's not,
some family members on Andrew's side of the family. One of the guys there had one of the mining machines.
Yeah.
And he tried to explain the whole concept to me, and it was just mind-blowing that it's basically a super powerful computer that has to work out these crazy sums and algorithms and things.
And for working it out, it gets rewarded.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he had to have it sat there, burning up electricity, working out this stuff. And then every few days or whatever, out would pop a virtual Bitcoin.
Yeah.
What? That's just...
I mean, it's amazing how much they've gone up in value. It's just, it's just insane, really. It kind of, but again, it's people that go for it. You know, you have to go for it.
I was just going to read Steve Green's comment in the Tat Chat thread. He said, I was the same when I first started. Couldn't get my head around where all this stock was. I still do it now. Have weekends where I can't find anything. But I bet the next reseller that would walk in would find something with profit. You just keep going and eventually it clicks. I'll let you know when that happens my end. Yep. Steve's a great example of someone who's soldiering on and just trying to make it work.
Definitely.
And another good example of somebody that shows it's not all easy. It's not, you know, it's a lot of hard work. And we need
I see Hixie's in the chat. How's he, you little tinkerer? Ha ha ha. Yeah, very funny, Steve. Tinker.
Let me just read that one. Wow, that's a big post. James Monday says, this is an interesting discussion and some of the advice here is quite useful. If you're getting into reselling now, I think you have to approach it differently. Compared to a few years ago, there are thousands more resellers, all sourcing charity shops, car boot sales, and Facebook, etc. So he goes on to say that YouTube has had a hand in that.
Well, I mean, I'd say that actually a few years ago there weren't as many charity shops out there either. Charity shops, if you think about it, in terms of the numbers, is a recent thing. It's not people always look back at halcyon days when they used to be able to walk through a car boot and people were throwing snezzers at them. But at that time, there weren't as many charity shops. You know, the ones that they were like, you know, small. This is a very kind of recent thing since the demise of the UK high street in general. They've had to fill the space with something, and it seems to be that
I think the bigger thing that has changed, and I think I mentioned this in the thread, is that the selling market has diluted because there are virtually no barriers to entry. That old chestnut again. So whereas when I started in it, you had to have the internet for a start. You had to have a fairly decent computer. You had to. There were all these things that not everybody had. Half the country didn't know what eBay was. You know, it was that dark ages to where it is now with eBay advertising on TV every night. We've all got it in the palm of our hand. All you need is your phone, which is now a decent camera.
Really good point, actually.
You know what I mean? So what I think has happened now is that the selling market has become diluted, which is more of an issue than there being more resellers, in my opinion. As in, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is selling the stuff out of their kid's bedroom.
And it's a change overall that I think is I think putting it down to YouTube isn't fully accurate for another reason, as well as the reasons you've pointed out, which are fantastic. Actually, when you think about it, just the barrier to entry has vanished. You know, a few years ago, a digital camera would have cost the earth. You know, now, like you said, it's in your phone. But the other thing to bear in mind with when it comes to how there are more resellers now, we've been in that financial crisis where a lot of things changed. A lot of people have been, a lot of people are now poorer than they have been in real terms, really, when you think about it. And it's another way, like you said, with eBay advertising every night, and not just eBay. If you think about it, Facebook Marketplace, Spock,
it's becoming
Etsy,
more
it's become a mainstream thing. It's a now
way of life.
That you can, on top of your wage, it's absolutely normal now for someone to have a job which doesn't pay them enough to be able to really afford to own a home or to really live comfortably, because that's the way things are. It seems the wages are way lagging behind in a lot of cases, so it's become very normal for people to now supplement their income. Now that can be either through reselling, or another popular area obviously is things like taxi driving, which has been in the news a lot as well, hasn't it? Especially with Uber. there are people that use things like that, this gig economy, as people call it, to supplement their income, and in a way reselling is just another alternative to that.
Totally.
You've got a job.
I think people are just so more accepting, and it's just become just another part of life, that you've got something you want to get rid of, you stick it online and get rid of it.
Yeah,
be that Facebook or eBay or Spock now. It's no coincidence that all of these platforms that are coming up as reselling platforms, and they're all pushing that. It's because it's become a general average Joe accepted way of doing things.
Whereas people,
when I started eBay in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was very specialist. There were very few, in comparison, sellers on eBay, and it was a seller's market, and it was in some ways easier to make money on there then.
There's definitely been a shift in the way people think, because a few years ago people would buy something, and if they didn't use it anymore, it would either go in the loft or it would just get junked. It would get thrown away. There were no avenues to sell apart from like the Loot newspaper, which again the dealers at that time pretty much used most of the time. And it's no surprise that at the same time we've seen this explosion in the whole "we buy your stuff" companies as well, advertising so much. So the growth of Music Magpie and the growth of other companies like that, CEX, games starting, all these companies started that model of, don't value your stuff, don't just throw it away or give it to charity, value it, you can sell it to us.
Exactly. And what the internet has done is it's put in the palm of everybody's hand now the ability to reach a random guy in Utah who wants that thing you've got. The power of what the internet brought to reselling is what changed the game, in my opinion.
Like my great customer in Poland who's waiting for his drive shaft.
Exactly. A couple of decades ago,
that would have been such a huge thing. International shipping.
In reality, before the internet, before eBay, before any of these platforms, you would have had to have had a high street shop, and that guy in Poland would have had to come to England to buy it off you. Unless you had some weird like mail order thing in the back of a specialist magazine, which used to be another way of doing it.
Yeah.
And how many barriers of entry are there for that? Pay for the advert, have a bricks and mortar store, all of it. And then taking payment. PayPal has made it so easy. It's like people don't know how easy they've got it now.
Completely. In case you haven't noticed, EFS, Electronic Firing Squad, super chatted $5, Nick.
Oh, my super chat's not showing.
Is it?
Oh, where?
You found it, or shall I read it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, thanks for many a great resale resource video. I've sat staff down to watch some of your how-to style videos, says Brian.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually sitting staff down to...
Wow, he has staff. That's the amazing part of that sentence. Fantastic. Wasn't it Electronic Firing Squad? He said that he was going to do some videos at some point.
I think so.
I think it was. You have to let us know. Oh, Caroline's in there. I was watching Caroline text earlier. I don't know if you popped into that to hear.
Yeah, I did. I popped in earlier. Yeah.
Cool. That was funny. Yeah, the James Monday, whose comment in the Tat Chat I was reading, went on to say, and I think this is a good point, and it's an area that I'm trying slowly to move more into. He says, I think people overlook the ability to turn £150, for example, into £300, rather than spending £1, his example here, on a Disney mug, which will sit on the shelf for months. And that's another thing that I think people should look at, spending more to make more. And I've always tended to be on the lower end of things. Spend £1 to make 10, spend 5 to make 30, whatever it is. But I would rather, looking at how my business is evolving, move into spend 50 to make 200, or spend 100 to make 300.
Well, I mean, and that's the other side of it as well. Like I remember mentioning this as well, that so for example with these hauls, I mean, Caroline in the chat, she had that huge VHS haul that we talked about. You've had that huge haul. If you think about it, if on the top of it, $4,000 on a huge job lot sounds like an awful lot of money, but if you are spending 200 quid comfortably every weekend over, you know, the space of a few weeks, like say even 10 weeks out of the year, you know, you're going to be going at least 20, really, aren't you? 20 weeks out of the year, ideally. You're not far off having that money. It's just how you're spending it. Are you going to spend that 4 or 5 grand or whatever in you know, £1, £2, £5 denominations at car boots charity shops?
Yeah.
Or do you take the decision to take your cash? Because at the end of the day, when you're doing your taxes at the end of the year, the number is the number, isn't it? You will have spent. Yeah,
So
I doubt people that have. Yeah, I doubt people that are just exclusively sourcing at charity shops and car boots have spent significantly less than people that are buying huge job lots in one go, spending like 500 quid or a grand or 2 grand or 3 grand. Because over the year, this amount spent on stock probably isn't going to be hugely different.
I
It's
think you're
how.
right, but it's so much an easier model to manage financially, drip feeding the little bits out because you're getting that constant in again.
Yeah.
But to have 4 or 5 grand up front, you know, to get the sort of size hauls that we were mentioning there, is a whole different ball game. You either have to take a PayPal loan, as some people have done, or you have to have that sat in the bank or borrow it from somewhere else, and that's a big deal. You know, especially for people that are perhaps doing this part-time or whatever. It's a big step up. And I was just reading James's comment. He actually went on to say, however, mega hauls are where the money is at. You just have to look at some of the successful resellers on here. They all make money with decent sized hauls. Nick's had a couple of ones in the last 12 months, blah, blah, blah. So here's Model Shop haul, Ben's Lego and Playmobil hauls. So yeah, he agrees that I think there's an efficiency in getting a big haul. There are definite downsides, as we touched on before. I mean, just the overwhelming scope of it and having to store all of that, because you start with a mountain of stuff that you're going to sell off. You've still got to find a home for all of this as you sell it.
I still get nightmares seeing Caroline's video when she showed her that room where she kept the stock.
Loads, yeah.
Oh my, and you know what? That's a big room there, and for her to deal with that like on her own, that is truly. I mean, that shows I think that video where she actually showed it all, and like when she's going through how much there is and how much she's, you know, gotten listed, and it really does hit home how vast it can be and how, you know, you've got to be mentally prepared to deal with it, and you know, just to
I would go as far to say taking on a haul of the sort of scope we were talking about is a full-timer's bag, because
completely
it would just drown you if you haven't got the time to invest in it and the headspace. If you're doing it part-time and you're going to come home to piles and piles of that week in, week out.
My headspace now is pretty much every day I know what I'm waking up and doing. It's sorting through boxes of thousands of parts of RC stuff, and I know I've got to do it, because in order for that to translate into money,
that's
you
it.
know,
that's
exactly
where the work is, isn't it?
Yeah, Caroline's just put in the chat, Harzy, have another potential load incoming shortly, bigger. So that's insane. So that would be very interesting to see.
Sorry, I was distracted.
It's got a bigger haul coming.
Oh wow,
that's going to be insane. Can't wait to see it.
Oh, I'm way behind in there. I've been.
Are you like? Oh, yeah, you're normally. We've actually got 175 people watching us right now. 54 people have hit the like button, so I'm sure we can do better than that, guys. Smash that like button.
Yes, massage our egos.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've just joined us, we're just chatting about, we were inspired by a thread on the Tat Chat group about how do people find enough stock to make this sort of business viable, and some of the interesting comments that came in on that thread. I just lost it. Oh no, here we go. Another comment that came in on the thread from George Ross. He said, I find too much stock, if anything, and really have to limit myself when my storage space shrinks. You need to open your horizons to every avenue, not just charity shops and boot sales, eBay, Amazon, Shpock, auctions, newspapers, jumble sales, tabletop sales, local ads, word of mouth, RA, etc., etc. I mean, there's a list for you, and we've added to that in our discussion already. So,
and it is a case of knuckling down, and when you, there's so many stages, it's having the proactive nature to find these halls, because they're not going to fall into your lap. You have to make the contacts to find them, you know, either by being active in the community. You know, for example, I believe both yours, Nick, and Caroline's halls you could attribute to being active online in the reselling community, because your video gaming hall, your video gaming hall was someone that watches you, right?
Yep, I got to know them because they watched my videos, and from that I got that hall. Yeah,
and I believe Caroline's hall was also because she's active online. She's, you know, in the reselling community. I think it came from those channels, and it really does show the importance of you know, being proactive, being out there.
Also, what it shows is there are people out there with this stuff, and their priority is to sell it. They want rid of it.
Yeah.
You know, that the gaming hall that I got, the lady had decided she was going to downsize and she wanted it gone. I was the right person. Oh, something just, I think it's a Furby just started talking.
Oh,
sorry.
God.
And like with Caroline's hall that she's done so well out of, there was a guy out there who he was making his cut on that, but he needed to move that on. So the point is putting yourself out there as somebody who has money and wants to buy stuff. You know, these people are going to find you, aren't they?
Yeah. So, you know, you've got to be proactive. You've got to then have the, if we were to praise you what we've talked about, you've got to be proactive, put yourself out there. You've then got to have the guts to actually make a decision. You know, making a decision takes guts in itself. So you've got to have the guts to go out there and buy the hall. Then you've got to be,
sorry,
that's right.
I worked out what it is. It's a Deal or No Deal telephone that's talking to itself.
Oh, is it the Noel Edmonds?
It's Noel Edmonds. Shut up, Noel. Hang on, let me turn him off.
Yeah, so
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's like, so if you praise it, you've got to be proactive. You've got to go out, have the guts to actually go out and make the deal, and then you've got to be in the right headspace to then deal with it, actually make it pay for you. You know, and that just means a hell of a lot of work. So I think that's pretty much how I'd kind of,
that would make sense. And if you're scared of the work, don't buy a job lot.
Because it can seem almost like there's almost like an element of, wow, that's the way to do it, you know, buy a giant job lot. Only if you can face dealing with it. Actually, someone else that slipped my mind just there for a second, we're talking about job lots. Was it Alan's World who buys ridiculous amounts of Lego, like literally vats of it? And unless you can cope with it, I mean, that would just make me go mad. You know, I'd literally lose my mind.
Well, exactly. And Pete is a huge Lego fan, isn't he? As you know, when I've got into Lego, I enjoy it, so it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it's common sense. Don't buy a van load of Lego if you can't stand Lego, because
just because it's a ball. Yeah, it would just exactly. So
okay, let me see what's going on. I imagine Nick will be captured by his tribe of feral Furbies. I sent a few off to Amazon, thank God. So we're 2 down at the moment. There's one there that needs to be dealt with. But yeah. What's the deal, Noel? I was actually messing around with that game earlier, and I'm thinking I might keep it and play it at Christmas, because it's a load of fun. You get the actual phone, and you have the actual physical boxes, and you open them one by one, and then you type into the phone which boxes have gone. You know how the game worked on TV,
yeah.
And then the phone actually gives you offers, and you can take them or not. And then it's who
I don't know.
ends
I've
up with the
never
most
been
money.
I've not really been into playing board games much.
Well, never.
No, not really. I think I played like when I was really young, like Monopoly and Scrabble and things like that when I was really young. But as
Oh,
an adult, I don't think I've ever played a board game. Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Yeah,
We
I
just
know. I
got
just
round at
haven't.
one of
Yeah,
my
I've just.
parents.
I've
Have a few beers, a few wines, or whatever, and play a board game. You won't laugh so much.
Yeah, I might. I think I am missing out on it. I just play video games.
Well, next time we meet up, I'll
Yeah,
bring some games.
yeah. I think we should try it out. So get me into it because I feel like I'm missing out. I think it could. I can see it would be hilarious. Do you know what I mean? Like when you can see it would be funny, but
It's
in my
brilliant.
mind's eye, I can see it would actually be. Yeah.
Especially when you end up with somehow having teams, and then like competitive spirit comes out. Yeah, I'm one of those. If I'm playing a game, I'm winning.
Oh right, okay.
You know what I mean? I don't play to lose.
Um.
Okay.
Wow, it's actually 7:07 now.
Good Lord, really?
I know. Yeah,
Wow.
that's
See,
gone quick. That's got to be one of the quickest. No, that has to be the quickest one.
I know we always say it, but I've barely got going on this
Yeah.
subject.
Liquid Game, you guys really are like complete opposites. Yeah, I suppose that's why we get on. like Paula Abdul said.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of middle ground.
Yeah.
Remind me what that is again. What's our middle ground? Oh yeah, we sell tat.
Just selling tat, I guess.
Yeah, that's about it. I don't even drink coffee.
Oh yeah, you don't even drink. Oh yeah. Just I don't even know what's going on here. Wait, we're on this chat. No.
Okay. When is he doing his Gary Baldy? Well, I'll let you explain that.
It's Friday, guys. I will actually put the beer the middle ground. Peter Ray says that's always a good middle ground. And then Dave Rowland says, "Don't think Paula Abdul got remixed by Craig David." Okay. Best go. Yeah, we're not going to go for another hour, Stu. The Brave the Shave, which by the way, guys, thank you everyone for sharing the links, etc. We've actually been getting donations in. I think Andrea bumped the thread as well, and you guys mentioned it on Sunday, and we've had a few donations, and I think at the moment we are now on £905 raised, which is incredible.
Wow. So we need to have a target of £1,000 on the night.
I'm sure we will. It's going to be this Friday. I'm going to put the link up on my channel. So we're going to do like the live stream on Friday evening. Hopefully we'll get as many people to join as possible. I think Hicksey's going to pop round as well. So you know his leg hopefully is feeling a bit better. So that will be cool, and get as many people on the stream. It'll be a good laugh hopefully, and we'll get some haircuts done.
Yeah.
Or just shave it. It's just going to be, yeah. I was actually thinking of putting videos out this week with different hairstyles. So do like a sales report, but in like a man bun, and then do one with.
You've got to put the man bun on the internet.
Yeah, the man bun I might do.
Just for prosperity.
Yeah, I think I might have to do that. Hicks is not going to shave at all. He's allowed to come round, but I'm not letting him. Rebecca will have.
Let Hicksey have a 6-pack and then give him the shaver.
No, I don't think so. I think I trust Beck to do it, and that's it. I'm not going to let Hicksey, especially if he's had any.
Oh yeah, Darren said exactly what I said. So you let Hicks have a few pints,
yeah,
and he'll give you a lovely haircut. the eyebrows will go if you give Hicksey that thing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he would, wouldn't he? No,
he would.
Yeah, he would. No, definitely not. Okay.
Okay. Well, I hope that was informative and interesting in some way. If you do want to go and join the thread in the Tat Chat, just go over there. The thread is still live. You can put your opinions in there. Should be a link below to the Tat Chat Facebook group.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be live on Z's channel on Friday at 7. So hopefully we'll see you all in there.
Yeah.
Until then, have a good week. Get listing.
Yep.
See you soon. Thanks, Zahir.
See you later, guys.
Take care.